The room didn't freeze when the hand was ignored. It was adjusted. Chairs creaked. Someone shifted their papers. A clock ticked a little louder than it had before. Nothing dramatic happened, which was exactly why the moment lodged itself in the spine of everyone seated at the table. The hand stayed out longer than necessary. Cole Harrington noticed it. He noticed everything. He also noticed the time on the wall, the slide that hadn't loaded yet, the impatience curling through the room like static. He glanced at the hand, then at the screen. "Let's move," Cole said. "We're already behind." The hand lowered. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just efficiency. A few people nodded, relieved. This was normal. Cole didn't waste time on the ceremony. Everyone in that room had benefited from that more than once. Everyone except the man who had offered the handshake. He didn't react the way people expected. No tight smile. No visible offense. He simply folded his hands on the table and leaned back slightly, as if the moment had passed exactly as it should have. That unsettled Amelia more than anger would have. She'd been sitting 2 seats away, quiet by design, there to watch patterns more than people. Her job was risky, but risk wasn't always numerical. Sometimes it was social. Sometimes it was moral. She studied the investor. Black, mid-40s, tailored suit without flash. Calm posture. Not deferential, not defensive. The kind of stillness that came from practice, not privilege. He wasn't embarrassed. That was the part that mattered. Cole launched into the presentation, voice controlled, familiar. Expansion plans. Midwest markets. Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta. The language of certainty flowed easily. He spoke like someone accustomed to agreement. Amelia followed along, but her attention kept slipping back to the absence where the handshake had been. She had seen men ignore gestures before. Usually it was about dominance. Sometimes it was about distraction. This felt like a choice. "This expansion requires alignment," Cole said. "We're not here to waste time." Formalities, he didn't say, but the implication lingered. The investor waited until Cole finished the slide. "Before we move forward," he said, voice even, "I'd like clarification on one assumption." Cole didn't turn fully toward him. "Which one?" "The contingency funding," the investor replied. "Specifically how you're modeling disruption." Cole paused. "Not long. Long enough to register annoyance." "Our team has accounted for risk," he said. "It's standard." "Standard for whom?" the investor asked. The room quieted again, this time sharper. Amelia felt the shift. This wasn't a challenge meant to embarrass. It was precise. Surgical. Cole leaned back. "For companies operating at our scale." The investor nodded slowly. "I see." That was all. But Amelia caught it, the tightening of his fingers against the table, quick and controlled, like someone stopping himself from saying more than he should. Cole moved on. Amelia raised her hand. "May I?" Cole hesitated, then nodded. She turned to the investor. "Can you explain the concern?" He met her gaze, and something flickered there, not gratitude. Recognition. "You're assuming uninterrupted access to credit," he said. "That hasn't been consistent lately, especially in the regions you're targeting." Amelia nodded. "That's fair." Cole frowned. "We've managed volatility before." "Yes," the investor said, "with partners who absorbed more risk than they admitted." That landed harder than he intended. Cole's jaw tightened. "Are you questioning our leadership?" The investor held his gaze. For a moment, Amelia thought he might snap back. She felt it then, a flash of heat, quickly contained. "I'm questioning certainty," he said instead. "Not leadership." Silence followed. Cole looked at him more closely now. Not dismissively. Assessing. The meeting wrapped quickly after that. Cole gathered his folder. "We'll follow up," he said. The investor stood. He did not offer his hand again. As he turned to leave, Amelia caught up to him near the door. "I'm Amelia," she said quietly. "Your point about credit cycles, it was well taken." He studied her for a moment. "I know who you are." That surprised her. "I hope," he added, lowering his voice, "that clarity matters more here than comfort." Then he was gone. Behind her, Cole's voice cut in. "You agree with him?" She turned. "I think he raised a real risk." Cole's gaze lingered on the door. "Or he was testing us." "Those aren't mutually exclusive," Amelia said. Cole didn't respond. That night, alone in his office, Cole stared at the skyline longer than usual. He told himself the meeting had gone fine. The numbers were solid. The tone was firm. And yet, he opened the investor profile he'd ignored earlier. Isaiah Grant. The more he read, the less he liked how little he'd known. Quiet acquisitions. Infrastructure plays that took years to pay off. Churches, community, funds, wealth structured to disappear, not announce itself. Cole leaned back, irritation prickling under his skin. Across the city, Amelia sat at her kitchen table, tea untouched. She replayed the meeting. Again, slower this time. She tried to justify it. Cole had been efficient. He hadn't insulted the man directly. In his world, time mattered. So why did it still feel wrong? Because efficiency without awareness always landed somewhere else. Her phone buzzed. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. No greeting. No context. She stared at the message, then typed back, "I'll be there." She slept poorly. By morning, Cole was already seated, jacket off, sleeves rolled just enough to signal seriousness. "Tell me what you think of Grant," he said. She didn't soften it. "I think he's used to being underestimated. And I think he notices when it happens." "That's not analysis," Cole said. "It is," Amelia replied. "Just not financial." He studied her. "Did I misread him?" "Yes," she said. Then added, "But not in the way you think." Cole leaned back. "Explain." "You assumed he wanted something from you," she said. "I don't think he does." Cole's eyes narrowed. "Everyone wants something. Some people want alignment," Amelia said. "Others walk away." Silence settled. Cole looked toward the window. For a brief, uncomfortable moment, he wondered whether ignoring that hand had been instinct or habit, and whether he'd just revealed more than he meant to. Cole didn't answer Amelia right away. He disliked questions that lingered after he'd closed the door on them. They followed him, picked at him when he was tired, when the city noise softened just enough for thoughts to slip through. "You're saying I made it personal," he said finally. "I'm saying you made it visible," Amelia replied. Cole scoffed lightly. "That's the same thing." "No," she said. "Personal is intention. Visible is impact." He studied her for a long moment, then looked down at the file again. Isaiah Grant. Why didn't he react? Cole asked. Most people would have. Amelia hesitated. Because reacting would have given you control over the moment. That landed. Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't like that answer because it rang uncomfortably true. "Set up a follow-up," he said. "Private." Amelia nodded. "He may decline. Then I'll know," Cole said, though he wasn't sure what he meant by that. Isaiah didn't decline. The meeting took place in a hotel conference room overlooking Central Park. Neutral space. Intentional distance from Cole's territory. Amelia arrived early. Isaiah was already there, reviewing notes, posture relaxed but alert. Cole arrived last. He paused at the doorway, registering the room. The absence of hierarchy unsettled him. More than he expected. He extended his hand. Isaiah looked at it. This time, the pause felt deliberate. Then he took it. Firm. Brief. No warmth added. No warmth withheld. They sat. Cole didn't waste time. "You had concerns." "I still do," Isaiah said. "Let's hear them." Isaiah didn't open a folder. "You lead like someone who believes speed is a virtue." Cole leaned forward. "In this market, it is. Only if the direction is right," Isaiah replied. The conversation sharpened quickly. Numbers, projections, stress tests. Cole defended. Isaiah pressed. Amelia watched the rhythm. How Cole interrupted less this time. How Isaiah allowed silence to do more work than argument. At one point, Isaiah stopped. "There's another matter," he said. Cole stiffened. "Go on." Isaiah folded his hands. "I don't invest where respect is conditional." Cole bristled. "You're asking for an apology." Isaiah shook his head. "I'm asking you to recognize that your efficiency isn't neutral." The words were controlled, but not gentle. For the first time, Cole felt heat rise. Not just defensiveness, but something closer to exposure. "I don't apologize as a strategy," Cole said. "Neither do I," Isaiah replied. "That's why this matters." Silence settled. Amelia felt the tension tighten. She watched Cole closely, waiting for the deflection, the pivot. Instead, he said, "I didn't intend disrespect." Isaiah's jaw tightened. "Intention doesn't erase effect." Cole exhaled slowly. "Then say what you want." Isaiah met his gaze. For a moment, something almost broke through. Anger, maybe. Or disappointment sharpened into something else. "I want to know," Isaiah said carefully, "whether you believe your position excuses you from noticing the people you move through." The question was heavier than it sounded. Cole leaned back. For a split second, the familiar instinct flared. Dismiss, reframe, dominate. He didn't act on it. "I don't know," he said. Amelia's breath caught. Isaiah studied him. That answer matters more than an apology. The meeting ended without a deal. But it didn't end cleanly. As they stood to leave, Isaiah turned to Amelia. You spoke when it wasn't convenient. He said, that takes courage. She hesitated. Sometimes it's just a habit. He smiled faintly. Habit is how values survive pressure. Cole watched the exchange, irritation stirring, then something else. Awareness. The unsettling realization that he wasn't the most centered person in the room. On the drive back, the city slid past the windows. Cole stared ahead. You agree with him, he said. Amelia didn't ask who. I agree that power amplifies blind spots. You think I'm blind. I think you're human, she said. And used to being obeyed. Cole laughed once sharp. That's your diagnosis? That's my observation. He didn't respond. That night, Cole read everything he could find about Isaiah Grant. Not the press releases, the footnotes. The projects no one wrote about because they didn't scale fast enough to impress shareholders. Church basements turned into community hubs. Infrastructure built without branding rights. Money structured to disappear into usefulness. Cole closed his laptop, unsettled. Across the country, Isaiah sat at his kitchen table, Bible closed beside untouched paperwork. He wasn't reading either. Marcus, his advisor, leaned in the doorway. You're letting him circle. I'm letting him choose, Isaiah said. You think he will? Isaiah considered that. I think he doesn't know how yet. Back in New York, Amelia lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She replayed the meeting, wondering if she'd crossed a line by stepping into something that wasn't hers to fix. She had told herself she was protecting integrity. But integrity could look a lot like influence when the outcome aligned. That thought bothered her. 2 days later, Cole called her into his office. I want him to see something, he said. What? She asked. Chicago, Cole replied. A redevelopment site. Why? Amelia asked. Because he doesn't invest in projections, Cole said. He invests in consequences. She studied him. You're not trying to impress him? Cole hesitated. I'm trying to understand him. That answer felt fragile. Real. I'll reach out, Amelia said. Isaiah listened quietly to the invitation. Is this about the deal? He asked. No, Amelia said. Then added, I hope. There was a pause. I'll come, Isaiah said. But I won't perform. I wouldn't ask you to, she replied. The visit was set. And for the first time, Cole Harrington found himself waiting. Not for leverage, not for control, but for something he couldn't name. Something he'd ignored longer than he realized. Chicago met them without ceremony. Gray sky. Wind that cut through coats. The kind of cold that didn't dramatize itself, it just persisted. Cole arrived first. No entourage. No assistant hovering. Amelia noticed that immediately. He stood with his hands in his coat pockets, eyes on the half-finished buildings ahead, posture rigid in a way that wasn't defensive so much as braced. Isaiah arrived moments later. They didn't exchange pleasantries. They didn't need to. This used to be abandoned, Cole said, gesturing toward the site. Factories shut down. The city stopped caring. And you didn't, Isaiah replied. No, Cole said. Then, after a beat, not at first. They walked. Isaiah asked questions that weren't about scale. Who lives here now? Who's being displaced? Who profits first? Cole answered honestly. Sometimes uncomfortably so. Amelia followed a few steps behind, watching both men. She noticed how Cole slowed his pace to match Isaiah's. How Isaiah didn't rush to fill silences. How neither tried to dominate the space. They stopped near a mural painted on the side of a brick building. Faces lifted upward. Hands clasped. Not subtle. Not ironic. This matters, Isaiah said. Cole nodded. I know. But Amelia caught the hesitation that followed. Knowing wasn't the same as understanding. At lunch, they sat at a diner that hadn't changed in decades. Vinyl booths. Coffee that tasted like memory. Isaiah bowed his head briefly before eating. Cole noticed. You pray before meals, Cole said. Yes, Isaiah replied. For what? Cole asked. Not mocking. Curious. For restraint, Isaiah said. And for clarity. Cole absorbed that quietly. So why finance? Isaiah asked. Cole smiled thinly. Because control is predictable. Isaiah studied him. And chaos isn't. Chaos doesn't negotiate, Cole said. Isaiah nodded. Neither does conscience. That lingered. Later, as they walked the site again, Cole stopped. I grew up not far from here, he said suddenly. Isaiah turned, surprised. You never said that. I don't talk about it, Cole replied. It doesn't fit the narrative. Whose? Isaiah asked. Cole didn't answer. Amelia felt something shift. Not resolution. Exposure. They returned to New York without plans for next steps. Days passed. No follow-up. No pressure. Amelia found herself frustrated by the silence. She told herself it was professional impatience. But it wasn't. It felt personal. Her phone buzzed late one evening. Isaiah, do you believe people change, or do they just refine their justifications? She stared at the message longer than she should have. Amelia, I think change requires losing something. Otherwise, it's adjustment. Isaiah, what do you think he's willing to lose? That question stayed with her. 2 nights later, Cole asked her to dinner. Just the two of them. They didn't call it anything. They talked about work until they didn't. About childhood until the silence felt full rather than awkward. I don't want to need you, Cole said quietly. I want to choose you. Amelia felt her chest tighten. That's a dangerous distinction, she said. I know, he replied. That's why it matters. She didn't answer. She wasn't sure yet if she trusted his clarity or her own. Meanwhile, Isaiah waited. Not passively. Deliberately. He watched the absence of pressure more than the presence of progress. That told him what he needed to know. When the updated proposal arrived, it was different. Not softer. More honest. Shared authority. Slower growth. Fewer guarantees. Isaiah closed the folder and bowed his head, not in approval, but in consideration. He requested one final meeting. Atlanta. Cole agreed immediately. Amelia flew with him. The meeting took place in a modest room overlooking a community center. Children's voices drifted through open windows. The sound disrupted the usual rhythm of negotiation. Isaiah didn't open with numbers. If this costs you, he asked Cole, will you still want it? Cole hesitated. Yes, he said. If the alternative is becoming someone I don't respect. Isaiah nodded. And if it costs you her? He asked, glancing toward Amelia. The question landed hard. Cole turned to Amelia, then back to Isaiah. I won't trade people for progress, he said. Even if it costs me power. Amelia felt something twist in her chest, not relief. Fear. Isaiah leaned back. That answer matters. The deal moved forward. The market reacted. Some praised the shift. Others questioned Cole's judgment. Amelia felt the eyes on her change. She knew what came next before it arrived. The article broke on a Monday morning. Conflict of interest. Undisclosed relationship. Influence masquerading as integrity. By noon, her phone was useless. Cole stormed into her office. This is a lie. But it's believable, she said. That hurt more than the accusation. The board convened without her. When Cole returned, his face was tight. They want you suspended, he said. She nodded. I expected that. I won't allow it. You don't have a choice, she replied. And if you fight it, they'll prove their point. Silence. This is the cost, Amelia said, of being visible. Cole clenched his fists. For a moment, just a moment, he saw the solution. Distance. A statement. Clean separation. The thought sickened him. He hated how quickly it had appeared. Take the leave, he said finally. But not as an admission. Good, Amelia replied. Because it isn't. Alone that night, Amelia sat with her Bible open and unread. She whispered, I didn't ask for this. The silence didn't answer. But it steadied her. The suspension didn't come with a ceremony. No announcement. No explanation beyond a line in an internal memo. Amelia's access badge stopped working the next morning. Her calendar emptied itself quietly, like a room after people decided not to look at each other anymore. She packed her office alone. It wasn't the humiliation she expected. It was the erasure. Her phone rang once. She already knew who it was. I can't be associated with this, her former mentor said. Not cold. Just careful. It's not personal. Amelia closed her eyes. It never is. I hope you understand, the woman continued. You're talented. You'll land somewhere. The call ended politely. Amelia sat still for a long time. She realized something then. Not with anger, not even sadness. That version of her life was closed. Not paused. Not delayed. Closed. And no amount of integrity would reopen it. Cole watched from his office window as she left the building. He didn't follow her. Not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't trust himself not to say the wrong thing. The board met again that afternoon. Optics. Exposure. Narrative control. Words Cole had once used without flinching now scraped against him. We need distance, one member said. At least temporarily. Cole leaned forward. Distance from what? From the appearance of impropriety, another replied. And truth? Cole asked. Silence. Later, alone, Cole poured himself a drink he didn't want. He stared at it, untouched, and wondered how many decisions in his life had been made to avoid moments exactly like this. Isaiah called that evening. This is where men show who they are, Isaiah said. I know, Cole replied. Knowing isn't the same as choosing, Isaiah said. Be careful not to confuse restraint with fear. Cole didn't respond. That night, Amelia walked through her apartment restlessly. She replayed every conversation, every moment she'd spoken when she could have stayed silent. She wondered, briefly, shamefully, if she had used Isaiah's presence to force Cole's hand. The thought made her stomach turn. She knelt beside her bed, not out of habit, but necessity. Show me where I'm wrong, she whispered. Not where I'm comfortable. The investigation moved faster than expected. Emails reviewed. Meeting logs dissected. Nothing damning. Nothing heroic. Just process. Cole watched the board's patience thin anyway. They wanted resolution, not truth. The night before the final review, Cole sat alone in his office long after the city had gone quiet. He opened a draft statement. It was clean, professional, carefully distanced. It protected the company. It sacrificed Amelia. He stared at it. For half a second, just half, he considered sending it. The thought hollowed him out. He deleted the file. The next morning, the board reconvened. The findings are inconclusive, the chair said. No misconduct. Relief flickered. But, the chair continued, the situation has exposed leadership vulnerabilities. Cole nodded. It has. We believe, the chair said carefully, that a transition may restore confidence. There it was. Cole stood slowly. I agree, he said. The room stilled. I'm stepping down, Cole continued. Effective immediately. Someone protested. Someone whispered. Cole didn't explain. He didn't justify. He walked out. The news broke within the hour. Shock. Speculation. Analysis. Amelia watched the coverage from her couch, stunned. When Cole arrived at her door that night, he looked lighter and more exhausted than she'd ever seen him. I didn't do it for you, he said immediately. I know, she replied. I did it because I didn't recognize myself anymore. She studied him. And now? Now I don't know, Cole said. And that terrifies me. She nodded. Good. Isaiah met them 2 days later in Atlanta. You walked away, Isaiah said. I jumped, Cole replied. Isaiah studied him. You're not done losing yet. Cole met his gaze. I'm ready. The partnership continued, but differently. No press releases. No speeches. Just work. Amelia joined them slowly. Carefully. Not as a symbol. Not as redemption. As someone still figuring out where her line lived. One night, as they sat on a balcony overlooking the city, Amelia finally said it. I was afraid I was using him, she said quietly. Cole didn't interrupt. I didn't mean to, she continued. But influence feels different when it works. Isaiah nodded. That fear means you didn't. She exhaled shakily. Cole reached for her hand, then stopped himself. I don't want to take anything from you, he said. She looked at him. Then don't take. Ask. He nodded. Stay, he said. She considered him for a long moment. Then she did. Life after the resignation didn't announce itself. There were no empty calendars filled with freedom. No immediate clarity. Just mornings that arrived without urgency and evenings that stretched too long. Cole woke early out of habit. He still reached for a phone that no longer demanded him. Some days, that absence felt like relief. Others, like withdrawal. Amelia noticed both. She watched him learn how to sit in rooms without controlling them. How to listen without preparing a counter. How to let conversations end without forcing conclusions. It wasn't graceful. That made it real. They worked from a borrowed office space in Atlanta. Small, functional, intentionally unimpressive. Isaiah insisted on it. If the work needs grandeur, he said, it isn't sturdy enough. Cole didn't argue. Their days were slower now. Meetings that ended with more questions than answers. Projects chosen for longevity rather than visibility. And yet, the weight hadn't lifted. One afternoon, after a tense call with former board contacts, Cole slammed his laptop shut. This is costing us momentum, he said. Isaiah looked at him calmly. Or recalibrating it. Cole rubbed his temples. You don't miss scale. Isaiah smiled faintly. I miss trust more than scale. That silenced him. Amelia watched the exchange carefully. She could feel the old instincts pulling at Cole, the desire to push, to optimize, to dominate outcomes. And she could feel something similar stirring in herself. The temptation to smooth, to manage emotions, to keep things aligned. She resisted it. That night, she walked alone. Atlanta was quieter than New York, less performative. The silence gave her room to hear herself think. She realized she'd built her identity on being right in rooms that didn't want to hear her. Now she was in rooms that listened. That frightened her more than resistance ever had. When she returned, Cole was sitting at the table, staring at nothing. "You okay?" she asked. "I don't know who I am without the fight," he admitted. She nodded. "Then don't invent a new one." He looked at her. "What if I become irrelevant? What if you become honest?" she countered. He laughed softly. "That feels worse." "Only at first," she said. Isaiah watched them from a distance. He said little, but he paid attention. One evening, he pulled Amelia aside. "He's still measuring himself by old standards," Isaiah said. She sighed. "I know. Don't rescue him from that discomfort," Isaiah continued. "That's where the change lives." She nodded. Weeks passed. They traveled to Dallas, to smaller cities that rarely made headlines. They listened more than they spoke. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. One deal fell apart after months of negotiation. The loss stung. The town council meeting ended early. Not because of anger, because of consensus. "We appreciate the effort," the chairwoman said, folding her hands. "But we've decided to move forward without outside partners." Cole nodded once. "Understood." Outside, the air was heavy. "They didn't even negotiate," Cole said. "No," Amelia replied. "They decided. They don't trust us," he said. "They don't trust anyone like us," she corrected gently. Cole looked back at the building. "We could have waited. Stayed longer. Maybe," Amelia said. "Or maybe we were always going to represent something they didn't want." The project never came back. They didn't revisit it. They didn't reference it again. And that absence followed them longer than failure ever had. Cole spiraled that night. "We could have pushed harder," he said. "We should have." Amelia shook her head. "Or we respected the boundary." "That doesn't pay people," Cole snapped. The words hung between them. She didn't retreat. "Neither does force," she said quietly. Cole looked away, ashamed. Later, alone, he knelt beside the bed without knowing why. He hadn't done that in years. "I don't know how to do this," he whispered. The words felt small. Necessary. Isaiah made a decision then. Not announced. Not discussed. He began stepping back. Not from the work. From control. He stopped leading meetings. Let Cole and Amelia wrestle with decisions without his steadying presence. The absence was jarring. One afternoon, Cole confronted him. "You're disappearing," he said. Isaiah nodded. "On purpose." "Why?" "Because stewardship isn't ownership," Isaiah replied. "And you can't lead what you still fear losing." That cut deep. Amelia watched Cole absorb it slowly. No defense. No immediate response. That night, Cole didn't speak much. Amelia sat beside him, not touching, not pushing. Finally, he said, "I almost missed the certainty of being wrong." She smiled faintly. "Certainty is overrated." He glanced at her. "You don't miss it." She considered that. "I miss clarity," she said. "Not certainty." That answer stayed with him. Months passed. The work grew quieter, stronger. And then, without warning, Isaiah knocked on the office door one morning. He didn't sit. "I'm transferring oversight," he said. Cole froze. "What? To you both?" Isaiah continued. "Joint authority." Amelia shook her head. "You don't have to." "I know," Isaiah said. "That's why I am." Cole stood slowly. "Why?" Isaiah met his gaze. "Because I trust what you're becoming more than what you were." The weight of that settled hard. After Isaiah left, Cole and Amelia sat in silence. "This started with a handshake," Amelia said quietly. Cole nodded. "And everything we thought we deserved." He extended his hand, not ceremonially, not symbolically. She took it, not because it closed a circle, but because it opened one. The transfer of oversight didn't feel like a promotion. It felt like exposure. The first meeting without Isaiah leading ended badly. Not dramatically, worse. Unresolved. Voices controlled, tension thick. Decisions postponed instead of made. Afterward, Cole sat in the empty room, staring at the table. "I don't know how he made this look easy," he said. "He didn't," Amelia replied. "He made it quiet." That distinction mattered. Responsibility settled differently when there was no one left to defer to. Every hesitation felt louder. Every misstep is personal. Cole caught himself reverting, interrupting, pushing, reframing silence as inefficiency. He apologized once, stopped himself twice, failed a third time. Amelia noticed all of it. She also noticed something else, how often people looked at her now. Not because she had authority, because she steadied the room. That unsettled her. One evening, after a long day, Cole finally said it. They trust you more. She didn't deny it. They trust consistency. He swallowed. And I still scare them. She met his gaze. You still scare yourself. The words stung. He didn't argue. That night, he slept poorly. The next morning, a former board member called. Come back, the man said. We can frame this as a reset. Cole closed his eyes. Power. Restoration. Familiar ground. He imagined walking back into that tower. Applause muted but present. He imagined Amelia watching from the side. He imagined the cost. I'm not interested, Cole said. The call ended coolly. Amelia found him later, sitting alone. You okay? She asked. I almost was, he replied. That scared her more than failure. The next project nearly broke them. A redevelopment in a small Georgia town stalled when community leaders pushed back. Concerns about displacement. Distrust of outside money. Cole grew impatient. We're trying to help, he said. Why won't they see that? Amelia looked at him steadily. Because help that doesn't listen feels like control. The meeting dissolved. Outside, Cole snapped. We're doing everything right. Amelia didn't flinch. You're doing everything efficiently. He turned away, furious. That night, he packed a bag. I need space, he said. She nodded. Then take it. He hesitated. You're not stopping me. I'm not your anchor, she replied. Remember? The words cut deeper than anger. He left. Isaiah didn't call. That absence was deliberate. Cole drove for hours. No destination. Just motion. He stopped at a motel outside Macon, sat on the edge of the bed, and finally broke. Not loudly. Just completely. He bowed his head, hands shaking. I don't know how to lead without becoming what I hate, he whispered. For the first time, he didn't wait for an answer. Back in Atlanta, Amelia sat alone, fighting the urge to call him. She remembered Isaiah's words. Don't rescue him from discomfort. Faith wasn't certainty. It was restraint. Cole returned 2 days later. He looked smaller, quieter. I'm sorry, he said. Not for leaving. For assuming distance meant abandonment. She studied him. What did you learn? That I can't build anything worth keeping if I'm still afraid of losing myself. She nodded. Then stay. He did. They returned to the town together. Listened again. This time without proposals. Without timelines. The deal reshaped itself slowly. Not profitable in the old sense. Sustainable in a new one. Isaiah watched quietly. One afternoon, he pulled Cole aside. You almost ran, Isaiah said. Cole nodded. I did. And you came back. Yes. Isaiah smiled faintly. That's the work. That night, Amelia and Cole walked under quiet streetlights. I don't know where this ends, Cole said. She squeezed his hand. Neither do I. But I know how I don't want it to end, he said. She looked at him. Then keep choosing that. They stopped walking. He reached into his pocket. She shook her head gently. Not yet. He didn't argue. That was the proof. The world didn't circle back to Cole Harrington. That was the first thing he noticed. There were no calls asking for his opinion. No articles reframing his departure as visionary. The industry moved on with unnerving speed. At first, that felt like failure. Then it felt like relief. But relief didn't last. They were invited to fewer rooms now. When they were invited, the tone was cautious. Curious, but not reverent. Cole had to learn how to speak without being deferred to. Sometimes he failed. In one meeting, he interrupted a community leader twice before catching himself. The silence that followed wasn't hostile. It was instructive. Afterward, Amelia said nothing. That was worse. Later that night, Cole brought it up himself. I did it again, he said. Yes, she replied. I don't know how to unlearn 30 years of reinforcement. She considered that. You don't unlearn it. You notice it faster. He nodded. I noticed it too late. But earlier than before, she said. That mattered. Isaiah grew quieter as well. Not absent. Intentional. He attended meetings, but spoke rarely. When he did, it wasn't to steer, only to clarify what had already been said. One afternoon, he declined to vote on a major decision. This isn't mine anymore, he said. Cole felt the weight of that settle deep. Leadership without insulation was exhausting. The partnership survived, but it didn't expand the way it once might have. Some investors walked away. This isn't ambitious enough, they said. Cole watched the numbers shrink and felt the old fear flare. What if they're right? He asked Amelia one night. She didn't answer immediately. What if they are? She said finally. What if this is the right size? He laughed softly. That sounds like something you say after you've lost. Or after you've stopped measuring yourself by the wrong ruler, she replied. That ruler was still in his hands. Letting go took time. Amelia felt her own restlessness grow. She wasn't being attacked anymore. She wasn't suspended. But she wasn't invisible either. People asked her questions now, quiet ones. Why stay? Why him? Why this? She didn't always have answers. One night, she admitted it to Cole. I'm afraid of waking up one day and realizing I chose the harder road just to prove I could, she said. He looked at her carefully. Would that make it wrong? I don't know, she replied. That's what scares me. He reached for her hand, then stopped. I don't want you to stay because of who I'm becoming, he said. I want you to stay because of who you are. That honesty hurt. It also grounded her. They spent a weekend apart after that. Not out of conflict. Out of clarity. Amelia returned to Savannah. Walked the same streets where the careful dinner had happened months earlier. She sat alone at the same restaurant. She remembered how measured everything had felt then. How safe. This didn't feel safe. It felt chosen. When she returned, Cole was waiting. Not anxiously. Present. I'm not leaving, she said before he could ask. He nodded. Eyes steady. I didn't think you would. I need you to know why, she added. I'm not staying because you changed. Then why, he asked. Because you're changing, she said. And you let me change too. That was enough. Isaiah made his final move quietly. He transferred the remaining voting shares. No ceremony. No announcement. Just paperwork. When Cole saw it, he called immediately. You're giving up the last safeguard, Cole said. Isaiah smiled through the phone. You don't need a safeguard. You need accountability. What if we fail? Cole asked. Then fail honestly, Isaiah replied. That's still legacy. They opened the community center in Chicago without press. The mural was still there. Families filled the space slowly. No ribbon cutting. No speeches. Cole stood at the back, unnoticed. Amelia joined him. This looks different than I imagined, he said. Yes, she replied. It's smaller. And somehow heavier, he said. Because it belongs to them, she said. Isaiah stood across the room, watching quietly. Later, as the crowd thinned, Cole turned to Amelia. Do you ever wish it had ended louder? He asked. She shook her head. Loud endings invite revision. Quiet ones settle. He smiled faintly. That night, in their hotel room, Cole took the ring out again. Not dramatically. Not rehearsed. He set it on the table between them. This still isn't a proposal, he said. She raised an eyebrow. Good. It's a question, he continued. Will you keep choosing this with me, knowing it may never look like success again? She looked at the ring. Then at him. Not yet, she said softly. But not no. He nodded. That answer required patience. And patience, he had learned, was faith's most honest expression. The months that followed were quieter than anything Cole had known. Not peaceful. Quieter. There was a difference. Work continued, but without the adrenaline of conquest. Progress came in increments too small to brag about. Sometimes too small to notice until time passed. Cole struggled most with that. He had been trained, by markets, mentors, and fear, to believe that if something wasn't expanding, it was failing. Now he was learning that some things deepened instead. That learning was slow and humiliating. One afternoon, after a deal collapsed without drama or blame, Cole sat alone in the office long after everyone else had left. He stared at a spreadsheet that refused to justify itself. Isaiah's words returned uninvited. Fail honestly. Cole closed the laptop. He didn't feel like a failure. He felt unfinished. Amelia noticed the shift before he named it. He spoke less, asked more questions, deferred without resentment. And still, when meetings ended, he felt the itch to reclaim control. But there was a tightness beneath it, a quiet grief he didn't acknowledge. You're mourning, she said one evening. He looked at her, surprised. What? The man you thought you were supposed to be, she said. He didn't deny it. I don't know how to grieve something that never really existed, he admitted. She considered that. You don't grieve the illusion. You grieve the effort it took to maintain it. That landed hard. They sat together in silence. Isaiah watched all of this with distance and care. He didn't intervene, didn't advise unless asked. He had given them authority, and with it, the burden of uncertainty. One afternoon, Amelia asked him why. Why step back completely, she said. Why not stay just close enough to guide? Isaiah smiled gently. Because guidance becomes dependence if it lingers too long. She nodded. And if we fail? Isaiah didn't hesitate. Then you'll fail as yourselves. That matters. The work expanded sideways instead of upward. Partnerships formed slowly. Trust grew unevenly. Some communities welcomed them. Others remained cautious. Cole learned how to sit with that rejection without pushing. Sometimes. Other times, Amelia caught him staring at old headlines. Old versions of himself reflected in words he barely recognized. One night, she confronted him. You're still asking if this was worth it, she said. Yes, he replied. Every day. That's not doubt, she said. That's honesty. He looked at her. Does it ever stop? She shook her head. I hope not. That answer startled him. Why, he asked. Because certainty is what made you dangerous, she said softly. He laughed once, rueful. You don't hold back. No, she said. I trust you to hear me. That trust was heavier than praise. Isaiah prepared to leave the country for several months. Not for business. Personal matters he didn't explain. Before he left, he met with Cole privately. You're still measuring yourself, Isaiah said. Cole nodded. I don't know what else to do. Isaiah leaned forward. Measure what you protect when no one's watching. Cole absorbed that in silence. When Isaiah left, the absence felt final. The work didn't pause. The questions didn't either. One evening, after a long walk, Amelia stopped suddenly. If I leave someday, she said, I don't want you to follow me out of fear. Cole didn't answer immediately. I won't, he said. I'd want you to leave because you were called elsewhere. She studied him. And if that place doesn't include you? That would hurt, he said. But it wouldn't undo what we built. She exhaled slowly. That answer scared her. It also steadied her. Weeks later, they received an invitation to speak at a small conference in the Midwest. No press, no cameras, just practitioners sharing failures as much as successes. Cole hesitated. This isn't impressive, he said. Amelia smiled faintly. Neither is integrity. They went. Cole spoke last. He didn't rehearse. I used to think leadership meant having answers, he said. Now I think it means living with the questions without outsourcing them. The room stayed quiet. Afterward, no one rushed him. They thanked him instead. That night, back in their hotel room, Amelia picked up the ring from the table where it still rested. She turned it between her fingers. You know, she said. I never said no. I know, Cole replied. She set it down again. Ask me again, she said. He didn't reach for the ring. He looked at her instead. Will you keep choosing this life with me? He asked, even if it never looks resolved. She didn't answer immediately. That mattered. Yes, she said finally. Not as a conclusion, as a continuation. They didn't celebrate the decision. There was no sense of arrival, no sudden easing of tension. The word yes didn't land like a door closing behind them. It landed like a path narrowing, clearer, but not easier. That felt right. They returned to Atlanta the next morning. Work resumed the way it always did now. Slow, uneven, human. There were calls to return. Opportunities that hinted at scale without responsibility. Cole declined most of them. Some he considered longer than he should have. Amelia noticed when he did. She didn't accuse him. She asked questions. What do you think that version of you would gain? What would this one lose? Those questions replaced arguments. Isaiah returned months later, thinner, quieter, carrying a grief he didn't name. They didn't ask him to. They sat together one evening on a porch outside the city, cicadas humming in the dark. You didn't rebuild what you lost, Isaiah said finally. No, Cole replied. We built something else. Isaiah nodded. That's harder. Amelia watched the exchange, aware that this was the real inheritance Isaiah had passed on. Not authority, not capital, but discernment. The world continued to move without waiting for them. Markets shifted. Narratives changed. New names replaced old ones. Cole Harrington became a footnote more often than a headline. That used to terrify him. Now it mostly humbled him. One afternoon, Cole received an invitation to attend a high-profile event in New York. His former peers. A chance to be seen again. He held the card for a long time. I could go, he said to Amelia. Just to listen. She didn't stop him. Do you want to? He thought about the room. The posture. The language of dominance he knew so well. I don't think I belong there anymore, he said. That doesn't mean you failed, she replied. I know, he said. It means I chose something else. That choice had consequences. They lived more modestly than Cole ever had. Still comfortable, but intentionally restrained. No symbolic wealth. No excess that needed defending. Sometimes Amelia missed the ease of certainty. The clarity of climbing was something everyone agreed mattered. She admitted that once, late at night. Cole didn't try to reassure her. He said, "If you ever need to leave, I won't make that a moral failure." She looked at him for a long moment. "That's why I won't," she said. The community center in Chicago expanded slowly. A classroom here. A clinic there. Nothing that attracted donors chasing recognition. People came anyway. Cole visited once a year. Never spoke. He watched instead. One winter afternoon, standing near the same mural, a child tugged at his coat. "Are you important?" the boy asked. Cole smiled. "Sometimes." The boy considered that. "You don't look busy." Cole laughed, surprised. "I'm not." "That's good," the boy said and ran off. Cole stood there longer than necessary. That night, back in the hotel, he found Amelia by the window. "You remember the handshake?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I still don't know why I did it," he admitted. "I've replayed it 1,000 times. And?" she asked. "And the reason keeps changing," he said. "Which tells me it was never about him." She nodded. "Most harm isn't. They didn't correct the story when people told it wrong. Some said Isaiah humiliated Cole. Others said Amelia orchestrated the fall. None of it mattered enough to fix. What mattered was what had survived. Years passed. Quietly, Isaiah stepped fully away. Not from them, but from the work. Age caught up to him in gentle ways. One evening, sitting together for what would be the last time, he said, "You didn't turn power into virtue." Cole frowned. "Is that a criticism?" Isaiah smiled. "It's a blessing." After Isaiah died, there was no public memorial. Just a small gathering. Stories shared. No speeches. Amelia stood beside Cole, hand in his. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Later that night, Cole stood alone on the porch. He bowed his head out of habit, then stopped. He waited. No words came. Not gratitude. Not understanding. Not reassurance. Only the sound of insects and the weight of unanswered questions. He stayed there anyway. That, he realized, was the prayer. On their way home, Cole finally reached into his pocket again. This time, Amelia didn't stop him. He didn't kneel. He didn't rehearse. "This isn't about forever," he said. "It's about choosing again. Publicly. Without leverage." She looked at him for a long time. "Yes," she said. They married quietly. No announcement. No coverage. Those who needed to know, knew. The story never ended the way people expected. There was no triumphant return. No public redemption arc. No final handshake moment rewritten for symmetry. The original moment stayed intact. A hand extended. A hand ignored. A choice made without understanding its weight. The difference was what followed. A man learning to live without certainty. A woman refusing to confuse strength with control. A partnership shaped by restraint instead of dominance. A faith expressed not in declarations, but in patience. If you stayed until the end of this story, you understand something most people miss. Redemption doesn't arrive with applause. Love doesn't resolve tension. It teaches you how to live inside it. And respect, once broken, can't be reclaimed by performance, only by sustained humility. If this story held you, challenged you, or unsettled you in a good way, like the video, subscribe for more stories that don't take shortcuts, and share it with someone who still believes character matters when no one is watching. And in the comments, tell us honestly, have you ever had to choose who you were becoming over who the world expected you to be? Your voice matters.